The former Suits actress Meghan Markle has been accused of many things in the time that we've known her in this showbiz planet, the last, 6-7 years now. And one of the biggest stories that keeps coming round time and time again from the people that I've met that have worked with her, whether it be people, of course, who've been helping her on those ill-fated royal tours where nothing is right, she's a difficult person to work with and her demands are incredibly high. Well, is that truly all her own fault? According to a former person who worked with them at Archwell, apparently not so. And Meghan sees this totally differently to the way that the rest of the world does. Will this change your mind about Meghan? As ever, let me explain. Morning, how are you? Are you all right? Thank you so much. Nice to have your company today. By the way, we've just finished with Wimbledon over here in the United Kingdom, and brilliant, isn't it? I love Wimbledon because it's sort of summer, isn't it? Strawberries, cream, well, if you can afford them, you know what I mean? But when I was a child, do you remember Ilie Nastase? Yes, the tennis player. Now, everybody stays in their age bracket, don't they? As you get a bit older, you think they can't be. Well, he's a sprightly 78, just had a birthday. Imagine, it's incredible, isn't it? You just imagine they're always going to be the same age or how they looked. My era was, of course, people like John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, Boris Becker. I met Boris Becker, I thought he was brilliant. But, to be so young and to take that title at 17, I think he was, what an incredible feat. And nobody's really forgotten it, of course. Sadly, certain things have overlooked his career, shall we say. Bit of a naughty boy, but there you go. Some people might say, of course, a naughty person is none other than Meghan Markle, the way that she's treated staff, friends alike across the years. And it's interesting when you meet people like Millie McIntosh, the socialite over here in London, who befriended Meghan, going on cycle rides. And some people suggest, of course, this was advantageous. And this was the reason why Meghan was a friend. Millie told me that, she didn't really know many people in London and wanted to connect. Now, Millie is a socialite, very well connected, and would have known a lot of people in the right circles as Meghan was moving around. You get the picture. But of course, she was always cultivating people for her own ends, and this is the world she claims is the reason why she's the way she is, because in show business you're always looking for the next connection. Who could help you get the goal, whether that be stage, theatre, music, whatever you're doing. And of course you intertwine that by meeting people. Seemingly Meghan's forgotten the bit about actually being a good friend and staying on board when times are hard, clearly dropping people along the way. Not just Millie, but of course people like Lizzie Conde and various others who she tried to get friendly with, like Matt Cadell, the X Factor winner over here in the United Kingdom. And they've all spoken at length about this, so it's fascinating when you get to meet them. But even royal aides have said that Meghan seemingly didn't have the ability to connect and make friends. But one person who was on the ill-fated royal tour told me this, and I thought this was a fascinating thing. Apparently Meghan sees herself a little bit like Madonna and used the phrase that she simply travels through people at the time that she's with them. Loves them to pieces and of course the best friends, all that sort of stuff. But do they remain best friends forever? And should they? And apparently she cited the relationship, the good friendship at one point of Madonna and Gwyneth Paltrow, which was true. They were the best of friends, and apparently not now. Sandra Bernard and Madonna, best of friends, not now. So when you think about her age bracket, growing up with somebody like that, perhaps the role model she's seen of ruthless ambition, getting on to meet people, making the right connections, perhaps that was the icon that she looked towards. The other person told me, though, that Meghan is cold, ruthless, and wants to know everything about the individual in advance so that she knows exactly the right things, the right buttons, the right message to say to make sure she appears very warm, gushing, and friendly. And then, of course, they get sucked in, believing that she is actually interested in them. But in return, really, Meghan knows the further fetch. Now, whether you like these stories or not, this is somebody who's very clever at manipulation. And some people might suggest it's worked very well so far in her career, advancing herself, marrying into the British monarchy. She soon got tired of that. But let's not forget, she met the most famous woman in the world, spent a night on the royal train, and has stories for life whenever she decides to reveal. But apparently, the reason why Meghan is the way Meghan is simply she travels through people. And apparently, what is so wrong with that? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.